Hey, everybody. This is Sharika Matthews of Live Life Beyond Barriers. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Thursday this evening. And I want to personally welcome you to another edition of Soulful Conversations. I created this conversation series just to serve you where you are right now. I know that all of you who are listening to this video right now are just in different phases of your life. And so I want to start having open conversation, open dialogue about some of the things that you are dealing with in everyday life. Today's topic for Soulful Conversation, we're going to talk about our relationships. Because as women and people in general, really, not just women, but the people and human beings, we were created for relationships. We were created to thrive in communities and thrive in family and thrive within our tribes. But in today's age, it is so very difficult to maintain relationships, whether it is romantic relationships, friendships, family relationships, professional relationships, relationships of all types are just getting harder and harder to actually create, maintain, and to grow. So tonight I want to talk to you about, are you sabotaging your relationships and you don't even know it? So if you haven't done so already, go ahead and share this video, because I guarantee you that there's going to be something said here tonight on this video that's going to help shift your life, to help shift the way you see yourself and the relationships that you have, so that you can take your relationships to the next level. So go ahead and hit the share button right now, because I guarantee you there's going to be at least three people that you know who will need to hear this. Hey, Donnell, thank you for joining me this evening. And also, y'all, let me know that you're here. A lot of times on these videos, I see like the number of people who are watching the video, but only a couple of you guys say hello and let me know that you're here. So go ahead and leave a comment below. Say hello, say good evening, and just let's have an actual conversation here, okay, you guys? So like I said, we're going to talk about relationships and whether or not you're sabotaging your relationships. And so there are going to be three things I'm going to share with you tonight. One may be somewhat obvious already, but you may not know about some of the other ones. Hey, Lucky, thank you for joining and thank you for speaking. And then I'm going to give you a bonus tip as well. So each one of these things that I'm going to share with you that could be sabotaging your relationships, I'm going to identify what they are and then identify some ways you can overcome those saboteurs in your relationships so that you can either restore that relationship, create a new relationship, or just take your relationships to the next level. So if you haven't done so already, if you've been joining me here all week, you already know that you need pen and paper, because at the heart of everything of what I do is that I teach. And also for those of you who are new to me, who's new to Soulful Conversation, who's new to Sharika, I just want to say hello and welcome you here and just let you know who I am. By trade, I am a life and relationship coach. But what I really do is that I coach and I serve and I teach women who have really kind of lost a sense of who they are. They are always in this position of giving and pouring and serving and working and doing all this stuff for everybody else. But when it comes to them, they have very little time, very little energy, and very little resources for themselves. But you're at this place in your life where you're like, there's got to be more. I'm too young to be tired, and I have too much I know I should be accomplishing, and I am not accomplishing. So what I really do is that I teach women how to learn to love themselves properly so that they can, hey, Odelia, thank you for joining, so that they can actually walk powerfully and confidently and purposefully into that life, into that woman that God really wants you to be. So that's really exactly who I am and what I do. And that's what's going to happen throughout my series of Soulful Conversation, is to give you the information that you need so that you can actually overcome these obstacles and be able to really get to a point of thriving in your life. Okay? So that's who I am and that's what I do. So thank you guys who are joining me here on this Soulful Conversation. But I want to go ahead and get started into tonight's information. I have a lot of stuff I want to share with you, so I don't want to take up too much time just with introductions. But as you're logging in, go ahead and say hello, and then go ahead and hit the share button. All right, you got paper and pencil? Y'all ready for notes? So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you could be doing that is sabotage your relationship, I think this is probably the most common issue, but we don't always recognize the signs. So this first saboteur is simply that you are broken and you have not healed. You hear this a lot, right? This is not anything new, but what you may not really recognize is whether or not you have actually healed from a past heartbreak, from a past disappointment. And this heartbreak could be from a past lover. This heartbreak could be from your relationship with your mother or your relationship with your father. This heartbreak could be a betrayal by the hands of someone you considered a friend. So this heartbreak doesn't just have to do with somebody you were in love with. It could be a heartbreak that you experience with any relationship you've had in the past. So how do you know if you are still broken, if you are still hurting? The first sign is fairly simple. Your heart hurts. Not your physical heart. Sometimes it is your physical heart, but your heart hurts. Like every time you see a person or every time you think about a relationship, hey, Kim, hey, Ashley, thank you for joining. Your heart physically hurts. You know, when you miss somebody, when someone has left your life, you feel this pain and this ting in your chest, in your heart area, in your mental and your spiritual heart. So that's the first sign that you have not healed yet. The second sign is that you feel fearful. So this is something we don't understand either. When you still have a fear around getting hurt, you still have a fear around being betrayed, you still have a fear around trusting other people, you have not healed. The third sign is that, and I mentioned this just a second ago, you find it hard to trust. You see, when you have experienced a heartbreak and you have been betrayed and someone has disappointed you, you know that your trust has been betrayed. But instead of learning to change how you trust that one person, you apply that fear, you apply that distrust to everyone. So if you have said that, oh, you can't trust people at work, then you have had some experience that's broken your heart that has allowed you to not trust people at work. So therefore, you haven't healed from that. If you are saying, oh, you know, you can't trust your man, you can't trust men, all men are dogs, you're still broken. You haven't healed from that. So, and then the fourth sign that you haven't healed is that you're trying to control everything. And women, we are good for that. I mean, if we are honest with ourselves, we are good for trying to control everything that happens in a relationship, everything that happens all around us. And really, the reason that we're like that is that we are trying to control the environment in order to prevent the heartbreak and the heartache that we are still dealing with. So those are the signs that you actually haven't taken the time to heal from a past heartbreak, from a past disappointment, from a past betrayal. Because when you have gotten to a point where you have healed from that, number one, you're not feeling that physical pain. Number two, you know how to trust people based on who they are. Number three, you don't have a fear of getting hurt. And this is one of those things that people really do have a hard time of letting go the fear part of it, because no one wants to experience pain. No one wants to experience hurt or betrayal. But at the same time, you cannot let your actions be guided by your fears. See, the experience that you had in your past relationship or with your relationship with your mother or your father, it happened to allow you to learn, to allow you to develop a character that you needed to develop within you. But instead of honing in on that lesson learned, instead of honing in on that character trait, like, ooh, I don't want to experience that again. So you're only focused on the feeling and you're not focused on the information. We talked about this a few days ago. You have to focus in on the information that you are receiving from the experience and use that information to create a better next experience. So when you have healed from this, or the process of healing, it starts with acknowledging, number one, that you have not healed. If you see yourself in any one of these situations, then just say, you know what? I haven't fully healed from this. Then the next step is forgive. Forgive yourself. You know, that's something that we're hard on ourselves, right? We're like, man, I really should not have given him a chance, or how in the world I end up in that relationship, or you know, I really should not have given my estranged father such access to me, and all he did was use me. Whatever the case is, forgive yourself for your actions because you did the best you could at that time with the information that you had. So show yourself some grace and let yourself off the hook. And then you want to forgive that person. And you know that forgiving someone else does not make what they did right. When we say forgive, whether you're forgiving yourself or the next person, you are releasing the negative emotional attachment. You are basically unhooking your heart from that experience, unhooking your heart from that person and letting them off the hook on your emotions, but giving them over to God. So forgiveness is another act of surrender. I give this person over to God. I give this situation over to God. I give my feelings over to God, and I'm going to let God handle that. And then you want to go ahead and get yourself a support system to help you through the forgiveness process, the healing process. And I am a big, big proponent of therapy. We don't talk about this a whole lot, but therapy is good. Therapy is therapeutic. It helps you. So if you need a therapist, if you need a coach, get the help that you need. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Would you say, Lucky, clear teaching? Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that this is coming, that this is very clear for you. So don't be afraid to do the work. Don't be afraid to hit pause and say, you know what, let me step back from my relationship with my siblings right now, or let me step back from my relationship with my parents right now, or let me step back from this relationship with this guy I'm dating right now, and give me a moment to heal. Let me get clear on what's really driving my fear, on what's really driving my distrust of people, so that I can be whole, so that I can be present, so that I can actually receive the blessings that are in these relationships that God wants me to receive. Because every relationship that you have has a godly purpose. On one of the classes I taught a few months ago on relationships, I believe that relationships have two purposes. One is for you to experience the love of God through somebody else, and also God uses that person to reflect back to you the parts of you that needs to be healed. Let me say that again. The purpose of relationships are two things. Number one, the first purpose of relationship is for God to show you his love through another person, so you can experience God's love through a person. The second purpose of relationships is to reflect back to you the parts of you that needs healing. So if you are feeling this thing of fear and distrust and pain comes up when you get around a certain person, God is like, baby doll, I am showing you this. I'm letting you feel this so that you can turn to me and let's work this thing out. So you can turn to me so I can heal you. So you can turn to me and let me correct this, because I want you whole, I want you happy, and I want you healed. So that's the purpose of relationships, and you have to put yourself in a position to do the work so that you can receive the healing that you desire. What are you guys saying over here? Willingly lay it down. Yes, let it go. Unhook yourself from that purpose, from that person. That is a part of forgiveness. And Adele, you said confirm. Yes, exactly. So that's the first thing that is sabotaging your relationships. You are bringing in your past hurts, your past pains, your fears, and your unforgiveness into a relationship that didn't deserve it. So and remember that whatever you are feeling and thinking at the time, if you're thinking fearful thoughts, if you're thinking I cannot trust men, or I cannot trust women, or I cannot trust people or my coworkers, all that stuff drives your action. It drives how you show up in life. So don't think just because you think you can put on a pretty face with makeup and dress nicer that no one knows that you're still hurting. It shows up in your actions. It shows up in how you talk to people, and how you treat people, and in how you relate to other people. So you definitely want to do the work to heal yourself. So that's the first and obvious thing. The second thing, I might step on some toes here, so y'all get ready. The second thing that's sabotaging your relationships, you're acting like a kid. Childish behavior. We are so quick to jump on men about acting like boys. We're so quick to jump on men about playing with their toys and whining and needing attention, all this good stuff. But some of us are acting like children right along with them. Let's be honest about that. And I know I may slip on some toes with this one, but it needs to be said. If we want to hold men to the standards of men, then we as women need to hold ourselves to the standard of women. Meaning that we cannot go into any relationship acting like a child. When I say acting like a child, I mean the whining. I mean the trying to get your way by putting on the waterworks, by crying and all this good stuff. All that is emotional manipulation. That's what it really is. We start whining, we start doing this, and this just to get our way. No, that's what kids do. And we are not kids. And then as soon as someone treats us like the child that we are behaving as, then we get upset and our necks start rolling and we're just like, oh, I am not a kid. You are not going to treat me like this. You're not going to talk down to me and blah, 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 blah. No, you have to actually present yourself as an adult. And one of the other things that I see women do too is we still expect men to read our minds. Meaning that we are not using our words. If you want your man to know something, if you want your best friend to know something, if you want your coworkers to know something, then you have to use your words. You have to say, I do not like this, or I need you to do X, Y, and Z, or no, I will not do your work for you. I need you to pick up after you. You have to say those things. And what I hear often is that, well, they should know that. I shouldn't have to tell him how to do this, or I shouldn't tell her that what she's doing is wrong, and I shouldn't tell her I need her to listen. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You see, when we're younger, we expect people to just know our needs, right? Like when we are babies, we are coddled to. So our mom and our dad, they begin to figure it out on their own what our needs are. Mostly because at a baby's age and stage, we cannot talk. But then as we began to grow and to learn, we learn the arts of communicating using our words. And so as adult women, we have to learn to speak clearly and ask for exactly what we want. When we were talking about achieving goals and stop starting over, one of the first things I said to you was that you have to get crystal clear on what it is that you want. Not just with your goals, but you have to be crystal clear about what it is that you want in your relationships. Whether it is your relationship with your parents, exactly what do you want from your parents as an adult? You know, do you want your parents to still parent you and baby you as an adult, or do you want to be able to have an open relationship with your parents so that you could talk about finances, talk about sex, talk about relationships, talk about money, or talk about the past? Be clear on what you want out of your relationships. If we're talking about a relationship with your man, you say to him, I desire for you to do X, Y, and Z. I would like for you to be more present with me here at home. I would like for you to take me out on a bike ride, a bike ride once a week because it's the summertime and it's beautiful weather out here, or I just want you to hold my hand and not talk. You have to tell people exactly what you want. Otherwise, how will they know? One of the things about being in relationship with people is that we forget that we are in relationship with people, meaning that people, we are dynamic. You are a dynamic person. You ebb and you flow. You change and you grow. You do this. Hey, mom. You do all these different things as a person. So, yes, Kim, you have to be very clear. And so as you change and you grow and you change your mind, sometimes we change our mind, we change our taste, we change our behavior about certain things. We have to communicate that to the people that are around us. Like if I like chicken for the first 28 years of my life, then all of a sudden when I turn 29, I no longer like chicken. I can't get mad at my best friend wanting to bring me a bucket of KFC when I'm feeling down because I never told her that I no longer like chicken. Now I'm mad at her. It's like, how you going to bring me some chicken and I don't eat chicken anymore? I don't like chicken. Well, how is she supposed to know? Is she supposed to read your mind? Probably not. You got to tell people what it is that you want and you desire from them. And don't use the silent treatment. I know there are times in your relationships, any relationship, where you have to step back and not say anything, right? But we often use silence treatment as a way of punishing people. No, you use the silent treatment for yourself. Your silent treatment is for you, meaning I am not going to use my words to speak at you at this moment because I am feeling emotional and I need to calm down. I need to go talk to God first, and I need to get my head together before I say something to you that I'm going to regret. Or I want to get my thoughts together. Like most introverts, we tend to think first, get our thoughts together, and then speak second, so that we could communicate to you exactly what we want. However, a lot of extroverts, and I know a lot of people who are extroverts, they how do I say this? They talk their thinking. They have to talk it out first. Hey, Tanisha, thank you for joining. So extroverts, they have to talk their thoughts through before they get to the point. They have to talk their thoughts out loud before they can get clear on what it is they're trying to communicate. So especially for extroverts, it's very, very useful to step back first, away from a person or a situation. Turn to the side or somewhere else. Talk that thing out until you get your thoughts clear about what you want to say, then come back and communicate it. But don't just cut off communication as a form of punishment. That could end up backfiring on you, because if they were to stop talking to you, then you're like, why you not talking to me? I'm ready to talk now. Now you're not ready to talk. You see how that'll end up being creating more conflict? So no, use your silence purposeful. Let people know, communicate, I am going to go away for a moment. Let me get my head together. I'm going to come back and then we're going to have this conversation. Hey, Sunshine, thank you for joining. Yes. Hey, Adelia, thank you for joining. So don't use the silent treatment as punishment, although sometimes you want to. That's just your ego talking, but do it purposefully, okay? Then the next sign that you are having childish behavior, you're throwing temper tantrums. Some of us, we still haven't learned to be emotionally disciplined. You know, as kids, when a kid doesn't get their way, they throw temper tantrums, right? Adults, sometimes we do the same thing too. He didn't buy me flowers on Monday like I want him to, and I'm not gonna cook. I'm not gonna pick up after myself. I'm gonna make him fend for himself. So I'm throwing a temper tantrum. I'm not doing anything. And you just sit over in the corner, got your arms all folded. Hey, Carmen, thank you for joining. Got your arms folded over here in the corner, and, you're just throwing a whole temper tantrum. No, don't do that. It all goes back to communicating what you need, what you want, what you don't like. Use your words. Say, you know what? I was really expecting you to buy me flowers today, and I feel disappointed that you did not do it. And just talk it out. And maybe he honestly forgot, or maybe she honestly forgot your birthday and didn't send a gift. It's okay to feel disappointment, and it's okay to communicate to someone, I feel disappointed, I feel hurt, I feel as if you don't value me. Because if you don't communicate what you're actually feeling, then that thing won't ever get resolved. What we tend to do as children, when we are acting out these childish behaviors, we are pressing down our feelings. So it's kind of like the idea of planting a seed. Whatever you plant into the ground, whatever you bury is going to eventually grow. And if you don't cultivate that seed, if you don't cultivate that thing you're trying to bury, it's going to grow all kinds of ways. It's going to be wild. And that's what ends up happening when we have these temper tantrums. We've been holding stuff in instead of communicating it, and then all of a sudden just comes out as explosive anger. It comes out as the silent treatment. It comes out as pouting and crying and huffing and puffing to get your way. It comes out in an uncultivated way because you did not deal with the feelings at the time the feelings happened. You did not take the time to process it and get it clear in your mind and in your heart what you really want in order to communicate that with the next person. So those are some of the signs that you are behaving with some childish behaviors, and what you can do about it. And really the key to that is emotional discipline. Learn to use your emotions as a guide, not as something to dictate your actions. Emotions, when you are feeling a certain way, it's letting you know, hey, I am off-centered. Hey, something is not right. Then go into being a problem solver. Be a problem solver. Your emotions do not lead you, do not give you the actions that you need to be a problem solver. So feel your emotions, let your emotions trigger your brain to say something is not right. Then your brain and your emotions work together to create a solution to solve the problem that you're currently experiencing. That is emotional discipline. Got it? All right. So the third thing that, oh, this is a good one. The third thing that could be sabotage your relationships is having unrealistic expectations. And when I say unrealistic expectations, I see so many different ideas and theory floating around here about, okay, your expectations are too high, or you need to lower your expectations, or just don't have any expectations at all, because if you have expectations, then you're just going to get disappointed. Well, how do I want to say this? Actually, I'm going to come back to that, because saying don't have any expectations is the wrong thing to do, and I'm going to show you why in a little bit. But when you are having unrealistic expectations of people, and I'm going to use a romantic relationship for this particular example. You are dating somebody, you're married to somebody, you're engaged to somebody, and you have this expectation of him to be your husband, to be your father, to be your mechanic, to be your doctor, to be your priest. You want him to pray over you, for you, on you. You want him to anoint you. You want him to be your accountant. You want him to be your sugar daddy. You want him to be your eye candy. You want him to be all these things. And the challenge with that, not only is it just you're wanting him to be all encompassing of the perfect man, what you're doing is that you're setting him up to be your God. Think about that. When you have all these expectations of a person, whether it is your husband, your boyfriend, your pastor, your child, when you have a laundry list of things you need for that person to be in order to be in a happy relationship with you, you are making him your God. Because when you have those expectations, only God can really meet those expectations. You're basically expecting him to be a perfect human being. And that's the thing about human beings. None of us are perfect. And human beings, we grow, we change, we develop. We show up differently at different points of our lives. Because I guarantee you, the person that you are today is not the person you were 10 years ago. And the person you are 10 years from now will not be the person that you are today. Today, the Sharika Matthews you guys see today is definitely a whole lot more spiritually aligned than the Sharika Matthews of 10 years ago. And my prayer is that 10 years from now, the Sharika Matthews that you meet in 10 more years will be even more spiritually aligned than what I am today. But when I am in a relationship, the woman that I was 10 years ago, I was not in a position to be able to pray over somebody. That was not in alignment with who I was at that moment. But the Sharika Matthews I am today, honey, don't ask me to pray for you. You can ask Kim about that. I sent her, she teases me sometimes, because if you ask me to pray, we're going to pray. You better clear your counter for about an hour. We're going to pray. But that's who I am now. That was not who I was yesterday. So if someone had an expectation of me to be this powerful prayer warrior yesterday and you know, be this either super religious, super spiritual, super this, super that type of woman, I could not have met that, because that was not who I am. And that's really the point I want to get to about expectations, is that you have to put expectations on people based on their character. Kim talking about me praying. I'm going to tell y'all something. So I sent Kim a prayer. Was it yesterday, day before yesterday? We were praying. We're both struggling with something very similar in our lives, and so I wrote out this prayer, and I think actually I typed it out. I think that prayer is 2 or 3 pages typed, Kim. Oh my gosh, it is so funny. So yeah, I can Yeah, me and God, we talk. But when it comes to having expectations of people, you want to look at their character traits. And that is the mistake that we make. And I'm going to use this example here. You get mad at John. No, let me take this. Let me rewind. You say, John, hold my wallet. He's like, okay, fine, I'll hold your wallet. And you walk off and you go somewhere for like 25 minutes. You come back and you get your wallet back from him. And guess what? All your money is gone. And now you're all upset at John. And John is like, but you know, I got a record for being a thief. It is not in my character trait to be honest. It is not in my character trait to not steal. But you put an expectation on him without first examining his character, without first examining his behavior. That is the mistake that we made. We put expectations on people based on who we think they are or who we want them to be, instead of using our physical and our spiritual eyes to observe who they are in this moment, to observe the character traits that they currently have. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? But you can only do that when you spend time with people and paying attention. If you don't pay attention, you're going to miss a whole lot of stuff. You know, so when you have, and that's how you put realistic expectations on people. Now, there's a difference between having standards for our relationships and then expectations of a person. So let's say, for example, let's say, for example, a job. You go into a job with the expectation that you will be treated with respect no matter where you go. But you get in there your first day on the job and you meet your manager. And your manager, he used to work as a construction hand, and you start listening to him talk. He has a very rough demeanor, and he is no respect of person. He's going to treat you like he treats everybody else. He sometimes curses when he talks, and he is very quick. He's very sharp with his words. He's very short with people as well. So now, although he has not been disrespectful towards you, you are upset because you feel like y'all should be friends. So you had this expectation that he should be friendly towards you, but friendliness is not his character trait. He does not make friends. He is there to get the job done. But now you feel in some kind of way because you wanted your relationship with this particular manager to be on a friend level, and that is not his strength. That is not in his character trait. So you want to pay attention to people's character. I cannot say that enough. Pay attention, and always pay attention. Not just in the beginning, but always pay attention at who they are. Because once you start having conflict with people, you begin to say, okay, I'm upset with this person. Now, did they show me before this incident happened that they were this type of person? And chances are they probably did, but you either ignored it or you did not see it at the time. So you want to make sure that you are always paying attention, because people change and people grow and people develop. Because again, I don't pray like I used to 10 years ago. I don't pray the way I did 10 years ago like I do today. Kim said, yeah, the prayer was good. So if y'all ever need some prayer, you got about an hour, I'm your girl. And I wanted to share with you guys in this section here about the Serenity Prayer. And I really love this prayer. And this is the prayer that when you feel yourself having these expectations of people and you feel yourself about to get disappointed, just take a deep breath and remember the Serenity Prayer. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I wanted to share that as a reminder too. You can't change people. Their character traits are who they are. So if John has sticky fingers, if John is a liar, if John is unreliable, that is a character trait. That is not something you can change. That is not something you can force him to become something different. that if he has to change, that has to be between him and God. That is a heart surgery that has to happen, and you're not qualified to do the job. You are not God. You do not know the inner workings and the inner makings of that man. You did not create him. Only his maker can help shape him and mold him into a better person once he submits to God, or once she submits to God. So remember that when your expectations are not met, it is not your job to change him. It is not your job to change her. It is your job to release him and surrender him or her over to God and let God do that heart surgery. All right? All right. So the last tip here that I want to give you, actually I think I gave you guys 3 already. I want to give you guys a bonus tip here about some things that could be sabotaging your relationship, and it's selfishness. It is selfishness, and I see this sometimes, but it's sometimes hidden under the guise of I know what I deserve. You see, when you're in a relationship, I just remember I heard somebody say this earlier. Was this a church? I forget where I heard this, but this is right on point. Relationships are not about you, is not about you receiving. Relationships are about you serving. Think about that. When you, I think this was a sermon. Oh my goodness. Now all this come back to my memory now. Relationships are about you serving. It's not about you getting. So when you think about your relationship with God, you serve God. But God is not worried about, getting anything back from you. It's all about serving. It's about God. I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. It's about God serving you. So God is giving, and he's not really worried about the receiving, because you can't really give God anything but praise, right? Like, you can't give God his health. You can't give God his strength. You can't give God money. You can't give God the world. You can't give God love, because God is love, and God created money, and God created the earth, and God created all this stuff. All this stuff is his. So technically, you don't have nothing to give God but your verbal praise. And it's the same thing with relationships as well. Sometimes we go into these relationships with the idea of I need to get love and support, and I need to get financial aid, and I need my man to get me trips, or I need my friends to be able to pray with me. I need my friends to do this, and this is all about what can be given to you. But that's the wrong perspective, especially in a romantic relationship. And my personal philosophy in romantic relationships is this: I take care of you, you take care of me. So if we are taking care of each other, I don't have to worry about taking care of myself. Let me repeat that. I take care of you, you take care of me. And if we are both taking care of each other, I don't have to worry about taking care of myself, and you don't have to worry about taking care of yourself. Because when we are in that type of relationship, and you're with the right person, because you have analyzed his character trait to know that he has a servant's heart, then you don't have to worry about being selfish. You don't have to worry about, always getting what you want, when you want it, and how you want it. You don't have to put up a fuss about, well, yeah, I know what compromise is, but you're going to compromise what I want, because I'm the woman, I'm the queen, and you're supposed to serve me. That's the wrong attitude. It is all about what you can do for the other person in the relationship, and the person you're in the relationship with also has that same attitude about you. And that is what creates harmony. That is what creates peace. That is what allows energy and love to flow and be reciprocated constantly, because you're constantly, this came to mind. So you guys know the wedding ring, right? The wedding ring is circular. So when you're in this position of giving love and sharing and taking care of each other, it's like an endless circle. The more you give, the more you receive. You don't have to ask for it. It's given to you, because that person that you're in a relationship with is feeding it back to you, because his whole purpose is to serve you, because your whole purpose is to serve him. So that's really it. When you come out of the state of being selfish and always wanting what you want, when you want it, and how you want it, and you're in this place of serving, then you can create healthier relationships, happier relationships, and relationships that actually excite you. Okay, so those are the 4 things. So really, yeah, there were really 4 tips instead of 3 that I want to share with you. The first one was that you haven't healed and you need to do the work to heal. The second one is you have childish behavior, right? The third one is you have unrealistic expectation, and the fourth one is simply that that you have some selfish behavior about you. So you want to take these things and kind of take a internal look at yourself and ask yourself, am I behaving this type of way? Have I displayed some of these character traits inside of my relationships, whether it's a romantic, your sister, your brother, your best friend, or whatever, and then work on correcting that. Because just like anything else in life, your relationship needs nourishment. Your relationship needs again, using the example of the soil. If your relationship is the soil needs watering, the soil needs tilling. And when I say tilling the soil, that is mean turning that thing up, pulling out the weeds so that your relationship can continue to grow. If you are creating a new relationship, now you know how to prepare the land so that you can plant the seed of friendship, the seed of relationship, the seed of love, and it has healthy soil to grow into. All right, you guys, I hope that this particular video was a blessing to you. And really, I want you to take this information and really apply it to your life today. Take this information and share it with somebody you love. Share it with a friend of yours, or share it with a family member on cultivating your relationship together. All right, you guys. So thank you again so much for joining me here tonight. If you have a question about anything I said here, leave a comment below. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit the share button, because if there was something that you received out of this message, guess what? Somebody you know needs to receive something out of here as well. All right. So tonight is our last night for this week only for Soulful Conversations. We're going to pick back up next Sunday night, or this coming Sunday night, 3 nights from now, for Soulful Conversations Part 2. We're gonna get into some deeper stuff here as well. Plus, next week, I have some major announcements I want to make that I want to invite you in on too. So be sure to join me back here again next Sunday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. But over the weekend, take some time and review the other 4 videos, the other 4 conversations we've had already, and start implementing these things, because information without implementation does absolutely nothing. So you want to implement all the information that you learn so that you can begin to walk fully and powerfully into the woman that God has created you to be. All right, you guys, again, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. But stay close to me, because we're going to have some more soulful conversations coming up soon. All right, you guys, love you so much. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. And I will see you back here again next Sunday night at 8 p.m. for another soulful conversation. Have a good one. Bye-bye.